Well, hello everyone. This is Nicole and
Aja.
Anja and Nicole, and we are here with In Love with Love for our second season. It's all about love, girl. Why are you coughing? It's okay. No, all things love, of course, with us. The heart of it is the love of our soul, and so we're just excited to get to know what is on the heart of God concerning supernatural marriages, kingdom marriages. And we have scheduled for you a whole setup. So we have our first couple here that we are scheduled to interview, Cheesette and Carey Cowan, Carey and Cheesette Cowan. So we're excited to let them in. They are in Florida. They're in Tampa, Florida. So we're going to Zoom them in like the old school way, and it's exciting.
All right, so this is the woman, the myth, the legend, the boss from Connecticut, or however you want to call it. This is my wife, Cheesette Cowan. We've been married 11 years.
Oh, nice.
She's awesome. We have an awesome life. We have two kids that probably on the verge of getting put out. Uh, but yeah, we just we happy to be here. We just having fun, and that's what we like to do.
I love it.
Beautiful.
So this is Carey. I would always call him an extrovert or like the quiet storm. He's not so quiet anymore though. He's changing. And I'm learning the new him. But he's consistent, and what I love about him is that you can really count on him, and he's a great person. He's a good father. He's a great husband, and those things are always at the forefront of his mind about how to be a great father, a great husband. So, when you have somebody that has that kind of focus, it's really, it's good for you, should I say, because you don't have to try to get their attention and say, hey, I need this, I need that. They're already kind of there with you. Like, what do I need? What do you need? How can I help? So I appreciate that about him, and I'm excited. January will be 12 years.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is an amazing couple. I'm so excited to know them and was honored to get to be a part of their renewal. They had 11-year vow renewal.
Oh my God, that was so fun.
Yeah.
People still recovering.
I know, that was so fun. We needed that.
Yeah. Well, where are we going to start? Where are we going to go?
Well, we can start with, excuse me, the origin story. So let's start before marriage.
Wait, before we do that, because so we are defining for our audience and maybe redefining, but just really laying the groundwork for what kingdom marriage is. So we're going to ask our couples, like, what does that mean to you when you hear those words?
Ooh. It means something different now, but I'll let him go first.
All right. Well, it kind of means we want to do things the right way. We want to put the Lord first, and we want to build our marriage upon that. I mean, a lot of people get things twisted nowadays on the foundation or what's supposed to be first, and then put everything in line. So in our marriage, is God first, then my wife,
then them kids.
The kids on the totem pole in the bottom. But but that's the way we want to model our marriage after. That's the way we want to kind of raise our kids on that model. So when they get out here and start dating and find somebody, first they need to look for a couple quality traits. Whoever that person is, I mean, I got all daughters, so whatever man they find, they need to make sure he's about God, and make sure he has a foundation, and make sure a good foundation, and has good values, and really try to implement that in a relationship or in the future or family or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to teach them right now.
Okay,
that's beautiful.
For me, and I didn't tell you this, but I forgot. What? So Aubrey, my daughter, always said she didn't want to get married and have kids. So she wrote in a journal on the plane that what she wanted to be when she grew up, and she was writing her life. And she was like, I'm gonna find the man of my dreams, get married, and have a family.
Oh wow.
Right. That's right. That's what I said. So I was like, I thought you didn't want to have kids. She's like, I changed my mind. So going into what a kingdom marriage is to me now, I think a long time ago, maybe prior to getting married, in the beginning of marriage, I thought a kingdom marriage had to look a certain way. Right. I was like, in order for it to be kingdom, it has to look like this. Y'all got to go to church all the time. Y'all got to be praying all the time. I don't feel like that anymore. I feel like a kingdom marriage is putting God first and your spouse next. Right. And then all of the other responsibilities and things come into alignment when you do that. I feel like for a long time, and just when your kids are young, you kind of let them unknowingly take the front seat on a lot of things, just because it's all, you're trying to navigate in that space with your wife and mother. And now what I see in kingdom marriages is like us, me and him building something that God is proud of. And everything else is just it's just subject to that. Right. If it ain't for me and him, it ain't right. And the kids are not even a part of that thought process anymore for us. And we joke about it, but it's like, what are we showing our kids when we say a kingdom marriage? A kingdom marriage is a husband, a wife, and God. They're the umbrella, right? Like it's Christ, it's the husband, it's the wife, and then they're the umbrella for the children. The umbrella doesn't get directions from the handle, right? The umbrella is doing what it's doing. It's protecting you from the rain. It's not asking, oh, how do you feel about how I'm protecting you? We've already decided what it needs to look like. So for me, that is something new, because I never really looked at it like that before, because I thank God for where we are in our experience as in life, because post COVID, like the brakes came off, the walls went down. It's like whatever is whatever. And now we finally really have a chance to build something that we enjoy. So
I
I
was
like
just
that.
going to ask you that. That's great. I was just going to ask you, was there a pivotal moment that, catapulted the change? And it sounds like COVID was a big part of that, the epidemic,
I think it's
pandemic.
a lot of little things too. As the kids grow up, they're different. So when I say they're different, like now they're not your little babies, now they sassy.
Yeah.
So you gotta come together and make sure that what's going on with them doesn't affect you. You, us, right? Because we gotta be together and stand with them. For
Can't
them.
divide and conquer, right?
Right. And I wouldn't say they had that going on, but there definitely was a possibility that it could have evolved to that. So now, when we're talking to the kids, we put more, it's just life, because they grew up, they changed. We didn't have to really do that when they was younger, because it was like, do what I say. Now it's like, put the juice in the refrigerator. Why? It's fine right here. I can still drink it right here. And then it's like, did you hear that? Like, what we doing with this? Like, so it's a little different, but that has caused us to have a different level of relationship, and I think that is great. But I think that most people, again, they'll forget about all this nuanced stuff just going to church. Like, you still got to deal with life over here.
Yeah,
That part
the
right
practicalities of life.
That part. I have a question. Did any of you see your parents model a kingdom marriage?
For me, not so much. It's like my mom, she was always the one, we were in church, and my dad, he's very much an introvert. So, a lot going on with that. But my mom, she tried to, the best she could, you know what I mean? Like, both my parents, I grew up with both my parents, but they kind of do their own thing, if that makes sense, So
Still together.
they're still together. It's just, I would say that wasn't something we were really taught coming from them. You know what I mean?
So that's a good point. I guess I just want to interject briefly, because I can relate to having parents that are still together, but when it comes to parenting, not really parenting together.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and like I said, no knock on them. I know they, and just like with us or anybody, you do the best with what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I got older, I kind of want to reach out and get some of those things that I didn't get as a kid. Like, I had a conversation with my mom about this, like, just in parenting. I'm trying to parent my kids a little different than I was parented. I feel like I said, not a knock on my parents, but just a lot of things I feel like I didn't get. I'm trying to go back and, you know, give them things that I guess was sore spots or things I think I
Yeah.
missed. Get. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to fill those gaps in with them the best I can. So like I said, it's with them. That's kind of how we grew up. I know you have a different experience with your upbringing.
Well, my parents were married, but I didn't realize that they were married for a long time. So I watched other marriages because my dad was in and out of jail. So they were married, but like he was gone for long stretches of time, and it just didn't feel like a marriage. So that wasn't. But I had other people in my family, and they all had like children out of the marriage, all were having separate affairs, all were like, and that's why I was like, I don't want to get married because like I could be single and do that. Like
Right.
I don't need the conviction that comes from doing that as a married person. But what I think looking back now, I think like even with his parents, like his mother, they just lived separate lives because they didn't know they had to come together. Right? I say come together, like we are learning how to come together. And I think that that's something that people be married for a long time and they just don't do. And I feel like we've been married 11 years and we're kind of just at the beginning stages of coming together. Like we ain't even like nowhere near arrived because everything was good until the pattern interrupt with the kids, right? And then
Right.
the pattern interrupt introduces a new reality, and then you look and you're like, whoa, I thought we was on the same page in this. We really not. Like, let's have a conversation. And then now, okay, why do you like that? And then now, okay, I can understand that. Okay, we'll keep that and do this. But like I said before, then I think the saddest part for us is that I don't think we had really any arguments till like we was married for 9 years.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Like
Really?
Like,
Why is that sad? Wait a minute, I'm not understanding.
that's not even an exaggeration.
it's just not good.
Like
You said you had no arguments.
none.
Why is that not good?
Because
somebody walking on eggshells, something ain't being said, hard conversations ain't being had. It's just not.
But is that what you guys felt or experienced? Like meaning like
going through, we started really having like growing pains.
We started having growing pains. We could look back and see where that was there at year 5. We just didn't see it because we kind of just let it roll. Like, cause he a low key person.
Yeah.
I'm a okay, get over it real quick type person. So we just let it go. So then what happened at 9 years, you got the culmination of it. Yeah. When those should have been a lot of little battles along the way, bringing us together, not a culmination of things forcing us to do things differently.
That's good.
I wish we had been growing through those things together. Does that make sense?
So, but what made you, it does, but I'm just wondering, like, was it better to just say, we don't have to even confront that. Let's just keep moving. That was the
we didn't even know.
Yeah, we did. Because
we didn't
like
know.
one thing about us, I mean, which you kind of know,
we're different.
We're different, but when we got married,
oh, that's true.
Everything, like even getting married, everything was so just, it was one thing after another because we got married quickly.
Then we had kids.
Like, so we never really we never really got a chance to really get to know one another, really.
So we're going to jump into that. But before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to Cheese because I know her as an amazing author. I got to be a part of her mentorship. This was where my whole journey began with, it's okay to desire marriage. It's okay, to really have a faith activation in that area because she wrote a book called, Cultivating a Marriage Mindset. And so to me, that's like, it's the very seeding and the beginning of what you're saying. And then it's like, okay, God took you on this and has taken you on a journey to higher levels of understanding what that looks like and what that means. So
then when you really start to grasp that you're with this person forever, I think that's something that just hit me kind of like 2 years ago too. I mean, like that.
Really?
Yeah, kind of, because we just had so much movement. Just imagine it like 50 first dates. It was like everything was first. Everything was
Well,
new.
we probably need to start at the beginning.
So what
Oh.
was supernatural about your kingdom marriage? Because I like to talk about that. Like this was really the supernatural part. Let's talk about it. Y'all share.
You want to?
So for me, it was because I was believing God to be married before I met him. So to me, that's what I'm saying. Like when my mindset is so different now, but to
You
me,
were how old though?
32 when I met him. We got married at 33. I was 33. So we got married when I was 33. But because I had been praying for him and preparing for him, I actually thought that I had arrived. So when I say I thought that I had arrived, when he came into my life, I was like, well, we don't really need to work on anything because he's ready. I've been preparing. I'm ready. So we just gonna roll. And we just kind of went through life like that. But I think what was supernatural about it and what I look at now is that when God brings you together supernaturally with somebody, you still have to understand that the process of two becoming one does not start with the
It's
marriage.
still a process.
And you got to commit to that. Like when I say, like, one of the things that we do different now, like, and I don't know if you observed this, in the beginning, he said to me, I don't like people planning my weekends and my time.
Mm.
He was married before. He's like, I don't like to get up with a schedule of things I got to do on the weekend because if I want to chill, I want to chill. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care. Like, I don't bother me. Like, I've been doing stuff by myself. So it's really nothing. Like, when we, so the way it kind of always worked was on the weekends, he would be home and I would be out doing my thing. And then we'll get together at the end of the night. And it was like, cool. Now it's a little different. Now we share calendars. Now it's like, what are we doing on this day? Can we take on this? Can we, like, we never did that before. Because,
Okay.
but
Does that
what
feel stressful though, Carey? Like, was that something that was a little stressful?
I mean, a little bit because like
he fought it, girl. He fought
it's
it.
like, but it's like this. Like I said, I'm very much introverted, and she's very much different. Like we're a night and day. So even in a marriage, one thing you got to learn, it's gonna be a lot of stuff that I don't want to do, a lot of stuff I don't want to go. But in order for this to work, it's a give and take. So with her, like the same thing. A lot of stuff that she likes to get out and do things, and I don't mind it so much, but not all the time. You know what I mean? And her, she just came back this morning from Connecticut. So my whole thing is like I don't, it's just a give and take. So I got to learn when to fight this battle, when not to.
But he has completely changed because the other day he said to me, he was like, I want to invite this couple over the house. I'm like, who? I was like, I don't really want them at the house. He was like, what?
Yeah, I said, what
He's like, you don't want people over. I don't really feel like it. Like, I just want to chill. And that's different because normally that would be him. I would be like, somebody coming over. He'd be like, why? I'm like, because. But what that shows is our growth, right? Because I think because we were totally different, we gave each other the respect of space, right?
Yeah.
But space ain't good in a marriage. Because it'll be fine for a while. That's what I'm saying. For 9 years, it was like fine. Then it was like, bam, our differences and our space are choking the freaking life out of us.
Was it too much space? Can you balance the space?
It's kind of like we was almost living two separate lives in a marriage.
Yeah. Okay.
And and at the point, like it was always there, but we never really
paid attention
to it till, like I said, around that 8 or 9 year mark, and then it was like, dang, like
we really been doing it separate.
Yeah.
So pretty much you guys were both mirroring your parents, and then you checked in and it was like, wait a minute, let's actually do this thing differently. So you were doing what you knew.
Yeah.
But the awesome thing is that y'all doing something different now so that your daughters will be able to see something completely different.
That's
and I think, and that's what I was saying when I said Aubrey said she wants to get married and have kids and have a family. That was a confirmation for me that it's actually different.
Good.
Before she didn't feel like that. I'd be like, well, when you get married, she's like, I'm not getting married. I'd be like, when we have kids, I'm not having no kids. And I just was like, well, why does she feel like that? But I think subconsciously, the disconnect was like, well, why even bother? Because that's how I felt with my mother. Because I'm like, you married, but your husband been years. So why bother? Because you with somebody else out here, so why bother?
Powerful.
And
Because I feel
now,
like you're doing the work practically, but it has shifted things like generational things for you. So
yes,
that's so good.
And sometimes
yes. So
sometimes it takes time to see that generational thing. It's so funny because I was just walking with some people today, and the little baby, I was like, I want to be like her when I grow up, because she was literally being carried in a stroller up a mountain by her dad. And so to get to the top, some other men helped the dad, and they all carried her up in the little wagon stroller that she was in. Now, her mom was just kind of like, oh, whatever. But I was like, well, why shouldn't she be treated that way? Her grandmother started praying to change the trajectory of the family. You, as her mother, have benefited and changed the trajectory. So now we get a chance to see this little girl living the complete soft life and being able to be carried on that same way. So a lot of the times what we do, even though we see our parents and stuff, they live their lives or whatever, we choose to do differently. It goes backward, but it also especially goes forward. So now you get a chance to look forward to grandkids because your daughter says she wants some kids
yeah,
because of what y'all decided to do. You guys decided to carry it on.
yeah, that was, I think
Legacy.
the hard part too was, I don't know about him, but I know when we hit that mark, I was like, why didn't I see this coming? Why didn't I feel this? But I thank God for it, because it was like, that was God like shaking the foundation, like, hey, pay attention, because this can go left like really
Mm.
quick.
A lot of people don't know. We were about to call it quits
Oh yeah, we were
right
done.
before the renewal, before we did the vow.
That's why we renewed our vows,
And
just to take a different step.
and even still, it's still, we have things to get over. By no means are we got this thing down perfect. We still have our little, things here and there, but we still try to come back to the source and then try to kind of work through everything through the
Yeah.
word or through,
But what
I
I see
appreciate that
different
honesty.
is when we have those things, we actually can work it out together.
Mhm.
It ain't you
Mm.
working it out and then me working it out, and then us trying to come together like, what's your plan? What's my plan? Let's merge something.
Mhm.
It actually is like, well, this is the problem. What do you think about it? This is how I see it. This is how you see it. And there's an actual dialogue to come to a consensus that I don't think that was there before.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's
Did
just like
anybody who had to die to themselves first on that part, that portion? Like, where did the decision come
Yeah.
I think both of
I
us.
think we
I
both
think both
did.
of us. Because we had a marriage counselor, because he was like, well, we want to try counseling. I was like, if you set it up, like, I ain't doing nothing. Like, I'm not doing it. So he actually set it up, and he set the guy, and I have been listening to, for me, I don't know what his process was, but for me, I have been listening to sermons on pride. And Matthew Stevenson was talking about how pride is like a ping pong match. Like, it's like you don't allow the correction to land on you. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
you talk too much. It's like ping. It's like you talk too much. Oh no, I don't talk too much. I did that because ping. And he was like, it's just back and forth, back and forth. But nobody ever gets better because the correction never lands. Right.
That's good.
So we were on a session with the
All
counselor
the
one
time.
day,
Yeah.
and literally we were together. We were going back and forth, and the counselor just was quiet. And this is what he did. He was like,
Wow.
and when I was looking, he was quiet. And when we finished, he was like, "Are y'all done?" And we were like, "Yeah." He was like, "Both of you are prideful."
Mm.
And when he saw that, I went back and I saw his face, because that's what a ping pong match looks like. Because you're looking from one end to the other, and I was like, "Dang."
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Like, in pride, I think people think pride is like haughtiness. It's not. Haughtiness is haughtiness. Pride is nobody can correct you or tell you that you're wrong. You know how hard it is to be in a relationship with somebody that you can't correct on anything? Like, you can't say like, hey, you got something in your ear, and they're like, no, I don't. Like, our kids are like that, right? So that's
Oh,
another, like, yeah, our kids, but it's this generation. But what I'm saying is we can't be like that with each other. Like, how are we on the same team and your teammate can't come and say,
that
hey,
part. I always say that.
like, without you saying, well, no, it ain't. Your boxers be showing all the time. Like, really?
So
Like,
my tit for tat, right? That's what some of my friend will always say. It's the tit for tat, tit for tat. Is that like what?
that's the ping pong match. It's the ping,
Oh, good.
ping. It's back. As soon as I hit it, you hit it and go back and go forth. That's how it is.
And so we're not on the same team at that point. We're
Right.
like against each other.
We really are at that point. And here's the thing. Only thing is, we didn't realize it, but the enemy knew it, right? And then now we're part of a marriage ministry, and I love this older couple that we get to share space with every week. But they are the cutest little couple that you have ever seen. They have been married like I don't know, 40, 50 years, raised 5 kids. And when they're so cute because we have to wear a name tag, and her name tag says Lisa, Steve's gal, and his name tag says Steve, Lisa's guy. But they work together, they live together, they literally spend every waking moment together, and they're like, we love it. And when I tell you that, they're like, we enjoy the fact that we get to do this together. You get what I'm saying? And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that is a good model of togetherness. We don't really see that. We see people living married but separate lives.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like promoted. If you listen to any kind of
That part,
anything
right.
about celebrity anything, or not even just celebrity, like I know for myself, I've heard, oh, don't lose yourself, all of this kind of stuff, like, you know, just keep your own stuff,
That's toxic.
get your own bank account, all of that kind of stuff. And that literally gives me to have, like, it wants me to have a mindset of independence within a marriage, but that's not God's foundation or his desires for that. I'm not saying be a doormat, but I am saying, like, there is something beautiful in submission, which both of you guys have done. Because you guys, like, you're submitted to him and he's submitted to Christ, and everything can work cohesively.
What'd you say, Cheese?
And there's also power in partnership, because partnership means that we get to exchange strength and mitigate weaknesses. Without a partner, you still weak. Like, that's the part that you don't understand. And if you weak, the enemy can take you out. And that's why he goes around and sift who he can, who he can sift. And for us, I think
Can we pause for a minute? Because that is such a powerful thing that you just said. And I think that's really one nugget that we could share with people if they're desiring marriage, or even if they don't know that is a part of their plan, like the plan that God has. Because sometimes we don't know, like, listen, you're supposed to be somebody's whole husband out here. You're supposed to be somebody's whole wife out here, but you're just out here because it didn't work the first time and your heart's broken or whatever is happening. And you don't know to, like, really start believing that this can work for you, but understanding, like, you know what I'm saying? There's power in the true covenant relationship. There's power in that partnership that you're talking about. But if we've never seen it, you know what I mean? Like, but if we could just seed to believe for that, this is the start. It's a seed.
Let me tell you how you see it. This is where I first started discovering this. John 17. Imagine us in relationship with Jesus without the partnership of the Holy Spirit. What would our lives be like?
Come on.
Old Testament all over again. What makes it New Testament is we have a partner with us always. That's partnership.
Yeah.
The partnership is going to lead us into the righteous life. The partnership is going to lead us into the kingdom marriage. The partnership is the relationship. The only reason you have a relationship with God is through the partnership of the Holy Spirit. Right? So it's like, how can you want that partnership and not desire a life partner if we're to mirror and imitate that relationship? God, to me, God created marriage, but Jesus and the Holy Spirit also came from God. So he created that partnership too. We have that part. We have the ability to have those kind of partnerships. So now I'm not looking for a girl just because her butt big. I'm looking for her that can be a partner in life, right? Yeah. Like wherever I'm weak at, like he's very, he thinks about stuff where I'm more of a doer, but there are times that I need to stop and think, but he probably is thinking for both of us. Right. And I'll take it for granted because I'm like, my superpower is the execution. Your superpower is the planning. Handle the plans, bro. I got the execution. Right. Because that's our strengths. Right. So.
It's like what we talked about when we went to the counseling the other day, celebrating celebrating your strength.
Celebrating strength makes it easier to expose weaknesses.
Yes. So we've been being taught that at the marriage counseling that we've been going to. And like I said, that's how the marriage is supposed to be. Like areas that I fall weak in, she's strong in, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So we just try to kind of complement each other. Like, you know, like what happened the other day? We had something where I know with her, it's certain things that, you know, I ain't got to worry about. Cheese ain't about to do. You know what I mean? I just know, like, so I try to step in
He's
and
saying I don't wash pots because I wash pots.
I didn't say it.
What
You
is
did.
it? Wash pots, you said?
I wash pots.
She don't. But just certain things, like, you know, like I said, they miss my radar. I'm just certain areas I'm not strong in. That's where she comes in, and that's, to me, that's what, you know, that's what God intended. Like he put us together to make us one. So where I fall short, she's strong, and vice versa. We still pick each other up, and we still, you know, do what we need to do. And that's kind of how we're trying to live our life, you know. Like I said, becoming more of being one, instead of how we've been doing it for the past, you know, what was it, eight, 9 years, where we were, I mean, we still had the goal, but it was the execution, the way we were doing it, which
Mhm.
was
But there's an evolution in it. So that's what I say, because you don't discount, I would say, don't discount what God seeded in the beginning, because it has blessed so many, including me. You know what I mean? And so to take it back, because I want Anja to know, she doesn't know the story, and our viewers don't know. Y'all tell us the love story, how it all began.
Tune in next time to find out what happened between Carey and Cheesette, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.